Welcome to She Sells Radio. I have a very special, it's actually a best of episode for you today, which I have honestly rarely done over the course of over 300 episodes now. But there are a couple of episodes that I personally go back to again and again and again, because every time I do, I get a shift, I get an elevation, I have an up level, an ascension, and this is an episode that I have gone back to multiple times myself, and I was actually listening to this week while I was working out, and I thought I have to bring this back on the podcast. This is where I interviewed a friend of mine, an amazing woman, Marie Claire, who went from literally homeless to seven-figure entrepreneur, and she did it the feminine way. Now, regardless of your gender, as you're listening, when I say the feminine way, what I mean is that it was not about hustling or efforting or struggling her way there. It was about allowing, receiving, expansion, abundance. And I know that if you're a listener of this show, that you want all of those things for yourself and that you are desiring them, I'm guessing, at a greater and greater level. And so I was listening to this week while I was working out, and I was so inspired. I was like, I want to bring this back on the show for you to listen to, because it's buried now in the archives of the podcast. And I'm popping it back to the top for you to listen to and to enjoy. So you are going to have such an amazing time listening to this. You're going to get so many up levels for yourself. And I want to invite you now just to really listen in and be open to what's possible for you when you're ready to allow more into your life, because you're going to hear exactly how to do that in this episode. Enjoy. Welcome to She Sells Radio. Today's guest is going to blow your mind, my friend. So get excited for a treat. So today's guest is a sought after beauty and lifestyle expert on social media. She's an entrepreneur. She's a huge inspiration. I would say particularly for single mothers and women in business. And you're going to hear about her story today on the show. And it's so inspiring. And I'll give just a little teaser. So she immigrated from Haiti as a teen mom while raising her beautiful son, Dominique, who's autistic and epileptic, and made the journey from welfare to homelessness to bankruptcy to feeling unworthy and ashamed. And now is a seven-figure entrepreneur with her sales topping over $167,000 a month, which is like, oh my gosh, celebration. So exciting. So please welcome mother, licensed skin therapist, and CEO of seven-figure brand acne expert skincare, the incredible Marie Claire. Marie, welcome to the show today.
Wow. What an intro. Let's roll that in one more time. I love
that. Right? You can play that as your morning pump up, but it's you. Exactly. And it's true. And you did all of it. And we want to know how.
Oh my God.
Tell us your story. Tell us how did you go from teen mom in Haiti to where you are today?
Yes. So I came here from Haiti when I was 16, pregnant, and my mother sent me here to have the baby because it was such shame and guilt. And I went to an all-girl Catholic school, and you get that already. And I felt so horrible. They kept it a secret. No one knew I was pregnant. So right there, I am carrying this guilt, this shame. I'm hiding, right? So I come to the US, I speak no English. I give birth to my son, and of course, he now has autism and epilepsy. So I have to deal with all of that. On top of it, I don't understand what's happening with him. I don't understand the diagnosis because I don't speak English. So I am learning by watching TV. A little side note, all my children. So
throwback.
Fun fact, all my children, thank you. And then I got on welfare because I needed support. I was 16 years old, and I always say I'm so grateful for welfare, the welfare system here, because there are people like me who truly needed that, right? So I was so beyond grateful. I felt so blessed. I'm like, oh my God, this country is amazing. They give help. They give help to people who need it. And here lies my gratitude for the United States of America. I love this country so, so much. Because there's so much to look at, that on the good side, right?
Yeah.
So then what did I do? Then I went to adult school because I couldn't go to school in the daytime since I was a teenager with a mom. I was watching my son in the daytime. So I went to adult school at night and got my GED.
Yeah.
And then from there, I got my first job, I believe when I was 19. So I went to the welfare office and told my caseworker, if you will, that today's the day. I no longer need the welfare. I am standing on my own. I got my first job. She was so excited. She cried. We both cried. And I was just so proud. And I remember my first job, I was making $13,000 a year. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I am so happy. I'm making more than $1,000 a month. And
Yeah.
I could barely survive on it, by the way, but I was so grateful. And the life started to change. I started to feel a little bit more confident because now I could take care of myself, right, on my own. And then, of course, I went to sleeping in the car because I got evicted from where I was living because I could not afford the rent. Remember, $13,000 a year. I was trying to make ends meet. And and I always had this sense of dignity through it all. Like I carry myself well. You would never know that I was struggling financially because on the outside, I look so well put together, which I think it's one of the things that helped me too, because my energy was always one of, I want to radiate what's inside of me because inside I really do feel radiant. It's just my circumstances are not changing yet, but I know that they will, right?
Yes. I want to pause you just really quick on that, because I think that is something that regardless of where somebody is in their life, Marie Claire, that if they're not where they want to be yet, knowing how to radiate that confidence and that energy, like even for you while you were sleeping in your car, was that something, did you just know how, or had you been taught by parents? Like how did you do that even when you're in this, what most people would say is incredibly tough situation?
Totally. I attribute that to my faith. And my mother, it's a gift from my mom. I grew up, my mom was always a praying woman. She would pray. I grew up Catholic. They were doing novena. We went to church every Sunday. My mom always, whenever something was going wrong or going right, my mother would pray. So I was like, oh, okay. So it was ingrained in me. So sleeping in the car, very tough, by the way, tears, depression. And I always said, why me? Why am I going through this? Right. So, and then when I look back and see that, wow, I don't know where I got the strength from, but I can tell you it's from my faith, I always rely on prayer. Till this day, prayer is my number one source of strength and guidance. It still is. And my mother always said that. It's like you have to carry yourself well. Like my mom always instilled that in me. She said, no matter what, wear the lipstick, wear the high heels. I started to wear heels at 14.
Oh my goodness.
I love but it's a gift that she gave me. People used to be like, God, you're just so tough on her and whatever. But she was preparing me for the world. So when I show up in the room, I radiate. I'm not afraid to shine. I'm not afraid of my beauty. I welcome it. I know that I'm beautiful no matter what society says. Like I am my own standard of beauty. So it's something that comes from my mom. It really is a gift that she gave me. And I believed it. And I did believe it. And it's working well for me, right? So carrying myself the way I feel inside, just showing up as that. So so that was part of the journey too. And then eventually I ended up in corporate America. And I was in human resources and thought that I was just going to throw parties. I I'm like, human resources, that's what I want to do.
It's just a
And
big party.
it's a big party.
Not
Everybody
so much, right?
because people would see me as like, you're the HR manager. I'm like, yes. And they're like, you just don't look like an HR manager. I'm like, I know. Because
Oh,
I was just too happy. I was too happy. Red lipstick, bold, like who does that? Where's your turtleneck, right?
where's your turtle?
No shade to the HR managers. Okay, no shade, no shade. But I was, the one I was just very vibrant. And then I realized, oh my God, you do fire people in human resources. Oh, that's not what I want to do, right?
Mm.
So throughout my career in human resources, my son just got worse. Like his epilepsy, he probably would have a seizures, 12 seizures a month.
Oh.
And that was unbearable. I got tired of calling in sick, right? So because in corporate America, as you know, you get 6 sick days a year in the US. I would run through that like water, literally like January, boom, it's gone. And the fear of one day I'm going to call in sick and I'm just going to get fired. Like they're going to tell me not to come back. I carried that fear with me. And then at the same time too, my soul started to say, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I didn't know what was next. I'm like, what is next? What is that calling? And I would drive to work. I remember being in the car, thinking, God, I just don't want to do this anymore. But what am I meant to do? And it was one morning, it was one of Dominique's doctor's appointment, and his doctor was in Beverly Hills. And I remember it was lunchtime, maybe 12:01, and he had to get an EEG and all that. So it's probably 2 or 3 by then. And I'm walking to my car, and all these women just sitting, having lunch, just ease and grace is just flowing through them. I can feel it. And I said, how come you're not rushing back to the office? So I'm like, oh my God, ladies, you look so beautiful. What do you do? Oh, we own our own business. And I said, oh, walking to the car, I said, I have to own my own business. That's what it is.
Wow.
I need to feel the way these women felt. Like I could see it being demonstrated in front of me. So now, what is it that I'm going to do, right? So this is the question that came what is it that I'm meant to do? What is it that I'm meant to do? So I was also always interested in beauty. I was the girl you would find at Sephora all the time. I was buying everything, cream, moisturizers. I still am, I'm acne prone. Here's one, I'm not lying. I'm acne prone, and I was always breaking out and could not figure out why am I breaking out so often, right? So I would buy things, return them, buy more things, still breaking out. Love lipstick, love doing my makeup. And I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to just jump and do makeup. So I'm going to side hustle. So I took out a little ad in Craigslist, if you guys remember.
Oh my gosh, that's a throwback. I love the throwback references today. Yes.
Way back then.
Wow.
I put a little ad, makeup artist, I do weddings and whatnot. Didn't have any training, but I'm like, I can do this. And was pretty good at it, right?
How did you get, I want to pause you really quick. How did you get, because I think one of the things that is I love in your story is this confidence. Like so many women that I work with think, well, I've got to get a license before I can do this, or I've got to get another certification before I can start promoting myself. And sometimes you do, like, depending on what it is that you're doing, but oftentimes it's a mask for fear. It's a cover up for fear. So what would you like for a woman who's feeling like, oh, I feel scared to put myself out there. I feel like maybe I need another certification, another license. What would you say to her? How can she borrow some of your confidence?
Oh my God, you just got to say yes. And it sounds so easy. but there's some work that are
Yeah.
required, right? So, like hiring a coach, reading self-improvement books, doing affirmation, incantation, seeing yourself as the person that you see in your head, right? It sounds so easy, but it's practice, practice, practice. So I always say, so what's the next step, right? What is the next step? What is the next step? What is the next step? So my first step was to take a little ad on Craigslist. And I'm just, I'm not doing something major. I'm not saying I'm going to take out an ad on TV. It's Craigslist. I can do that, right? And and then also to the nagging feeling. I know women, we feel this because we're so intuitive. You get that, God, but if I don't do this, I'm just going to regret it. It's like
Yes.
you have, like, every day it nags at you.
Yes.
It's here every day, every day. It's like, I can't live like that. I don't know about you. I cannot live like that. It's like, I have to do it, right? So when I was there, that girl there 12 years ago who took out an ad on Craigslist, I just was so tired. I was tired of feeling unfulfilled in
Mm.
my 9 to 5. That's what it was. I was tired. And I knew my heart, you know what? Always trust your heart.
Yes.
My heart knew it was going to be okay. My head said, oh my God, you're leaving your corporate job to side hustle where I wasn't living. Like, you have, Marie, you have a good paycheck. You have a 401k. Oh my God, stop it already. Just be grateful. And
Mm.
my
Yes.
heart is saying, there is more. There is more. There is more. So, and I couldn't deny it. I just could not deny it. I'm a curious person too. I just have to see what's on the other side of that, right?
I
So
love that. Hmm.
I started to side hustle and I was getting clients. I was charging, back then, I was charging like 125 for brides, right? But I worked so hard for that 125. I tell you, I worked
Ooh.
so
Yeah.
hard because I had to go to their reception, do their touch up. And I was like, okay, this is not enough. Maybe I need to now just work for MAC Cosmetics. So I ended up working for MAC Cosmetics. Just to make the story short, okay, that wasn't that either because I got to meet quotas. Like, I'm not very salesy in my head. What is the word here? I don't see numbers. I just want to just feel fulfilled. That's
Yeah.
innately, that's how I am. So
Yes.
doesn't matter how much I make, if it's not fulfilling, I'm not gonna stay, right? So if I'm like, I gotta count how many lipstick that I sell today. It just took out the fun. It just didn't make it fun anymore. So quit Mac, went back to corporate America.
Ooh,
And
turtleneck land. I have so much love. I know we have a lot of corporate women who listen too, and I've been in corporate, and so no,
I
no
was, I
shade.
was, I because I was not making enough money, and I
Yeah.
said, I just got to go back to corporate America. So
How did
I
you handle that? Did it feel like defeat
I
in
was
that moment?
depressed as hell.
Yeah.
What I and I said, well, you know what? I'm just gonna go back. I have a plan until I figure out what it is that I need to be. But I know that the money will actually just settle it will just bring in some more ease, right? Because I was looking for the ease. But this is not what I wanted today. So to do. So back to HR. So back to HR, gotta spruce up the resume. I land a job in Beverly Hills at a very fancy sports club, like just celebrities. And oh my God, I mean, the membership is like 2,200 a month. Like, when I tell you,
Mm,
like,
that's a club.
very, it was very high vibe. I loved it there. I loved the vibe, but still did not enjoy being a human resources manager. So one day I'm at Sephora with my cousin and her girlfriend. And they're like, Marie Claire, you're so good at skincare and you're always telling us, you're always reading ingredients and stuff like that. We think, you know what, you could be a great esthetician. And the light bulb just went, psh. I said, that's what I'm meant to be doing. That's what, yes, skincare, esthetician. Mind you, my mother had told me that before. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be an esthetician. She's like, oh my God, because you're doing makeup and you can teach people how to take care of their skin. I was like, no, that's not what I'm meant to do. No. I think it's because it was coming from my mother, right?
Oftentimes, right?
Oh,
And we've got to hear
yes.
something at the right time too.
Yes,
You know? Yeah.
totally. And I think my soul was ready to hear it. When I tell you 2 weeks later, I was in skincare school, 2 weeks later, and it was so easy. Went, applied, fill out the paperwork, paid the fees, got on my monthly plan to pay the student loan, and voila, I was in skincare school. And I was so happy. I was the best student in the classroom. Okay. My teacher knew. She looked at, she's like, something special. Like I couldn't wait to get to to school every morning. Like, oh, I was so happy. I'm like, I found my passion. So from there, life started to change. When I got into skincare school, I knew that I was going to work for myself because remember those ladies, right? That I saw having lunch,
Yes.
they own their own business. So the whole time I'm like, I'm going to own my own business. I'm going to be my boss, my own boss. So finished skincare school and I started to open a studio in where I was living. So I was renting a house in Glendale and it had a back house. And I was like, I'm going to turn that into a skincare studio. You have to apply for license and everything. Like the state has to give you approval. So I took all the steps. And when you're meant to do something, I really believe that there is a lot of ease that comes with it because you're meant to do it. And even when you're faced with challenges, you're so happy, you're so in the moment, they don't even feel like challenges, right? Like there are people who would have been like, oh my God, they said no the first time, I'm gonna quit because I have to make the hallway, like it has to be this wide, this length, and you gotta have water here and there, I gotta hire a plumber. Some people would be like, I'm gonna quit. I don't wanna do all that. To me, I was like, oh, it's gonna be perfect, right? Because I was just so happy. I felt so at home. So those challenges just felt like, okay, they're stepping stone. What else am I meant to do? So open my first studio. No one came.
For how long? For how long?
The first month I think I made $320 and it was from my friends.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
of course, to can add on Craigslist. Remember, Facebook back then was not a thing. We didn't have ads. We didn't have Instagram. Instagram was not even a thing when I started.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I have to supplement this income. So I went to work for a dermatologist. And best thing I've ever done because the universe is kind. I got what I needed. Working for this dermatologist who was also a plastic surgeon, he only worked with acne patients.
Yeah.
And I took classes at UCLA about ingredients and how they affect the skin. I learned so much from him. I became a medical esthetician. That would have never happened had I not, if I was just successful on the get-go or, that I was booked, the universe was guiding me there. And
so I want to pause you really quick on that, Marie Claire, because how did you stay committed to your vision in that moment? Because some people would take that as a sign like, oh, it's just not meant to be, or this is too hard. How did you, no doubt you probably dealt with feelings of disappointment and maybe fear, all of that, but how did you know to stay committed to the vision and to just pivot rather than throwing in the towel?
This is where, you're going to hear me say that a lot. I really follow my heart. I don't function from up here. I do sometimes.
It's usually what gets us in trouble, right?
When I have to look at my P&L and deal with fulfillment centers now because I'm running a 7-figure business, but there's always balance there. So again, my faith. Big thing here. This is my story. This is how I got through it, right? So I started right around that time, I started to discover authors like
Mm.
Wayne Dyer, Louis Hay, Esther Hicks, Michael Beckwith, Michael Singer, like all these
All of
authors.
my favorites. Yeah.
Oh my God. And I read the book, The Power of Intention, and it changed my life.
Wow.
And from reading that book, it's by Wayne Dyer, by the way, I met him in person. Like, that's a fun side story,
Oh my
but I
goodness.
manifested that. But I just knew that I was just going to follow where my heart was leading me. It's very hard to do when you listen to society that says you must do this, you must do that, you must follow your head, you must be practical, and all of that.
Mm.
It's hard to do, but I promise you, it's like you've been doing that for so long and it's not working.
Yes.
Why not give, yeah, why not try it this way, right? So end up working for this dermatologist slash plastic surgeon, became a medical esthetician. Of course, my confidence grew with that because now I have more practice under my belt. And I said, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to focus on only seeing customers who have acne. In the meantime, I'm working at home on the weekend. They don't even know that. Like, I don't tell them like I have a side hustle, but I'm putting into practice everything that I'm learning, right? So from there, when at that time, then this is where the story comes. And I met my first coach, Gina DeVee.
Gina, we got to give a shout
You
out.
gotta give a shout out
Which is
to
how we
Gina,
met. Yes.
because she changed my life. She was one of the women that really changed my life. And I think I was ready, right? So Wayne Dyer, Louis Hay, then I hear this woman talking about your worth. And
Yes.
I'm like, I gotta learn more about this woman. She was on a call and talking about living in a feminine way. I'm like, ooh, this is my tribe, right? I'm like, yes, tell me more. So went to an event she was doing in Santa Monica, and I was able to be in the hot seat, if you will, where she did like a laser session on my business. And I remember telling her, oh, I'm charging $45. And she screamed. She's like, what? Are you insane? Look at you. Everyone, please look at Marie Claire. She charges $45 for a treatment. Then you got a scalp massage.
Oh my goodness.
And she made me look at my worth.
Mm.
And she's like, you're worth so much more. Why aren't you charging your worth? And I said, but who's gonna pay that much for a facial? She said, you are a medical esthetician. What you're bringing to the table, if you believe you're worth charging more, then you should, right? And I started to work on that. I'm like, so little by little, I started to increase my prices. And then I moved the office to Beverly Hills. And I mean, it's such a long story. I want to cut it short, but moved to Beverly Hills. And then I decided that when I switched to niching and only seeing people with acne, my business exploded. Like I couldn't, I was booked all the time. I was booked all the time because I was known as, I'm now the acne expert. So people came to me just for acne. I didn't wax, I didn't do lash tinting, I didn't do any, which I did not enjoy doing, by the way. So stick to what you enjoy doing. And because in the beginning, I would offer everything. I would work my tail to the bone. I'm like, I gotta wax, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. But I had a love for acne because I was an acne sufferer as well. So booked. And then I realized one day, and I didn't realize, it came to me, you should have your own skincare line. What? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. How, where, with what money? How do you do that?
Yeah, no kidding. And
I started to look at the ingredients of the skincare. I was selling other brands to my customers, right? So you know, like when you go to a spa, they're like, oh, you need this moisturizer and this sunscreen. That's what I was doing. And And then I would look at the list of ingredients from what I was like, oh my God, I'm selling them the wrong products. How do I start? And that was a 2 years journey, and found a manufacturer. And let me tell you, little by little, I started with 3 products, and now I have 42 products, and sales are at 167,000. And let me tell you, when I say this, I keep pinching myself, because this is the girl who, was on welfare, lived on cabbage and rice for a long, long time, and who's now just living with ease and grace and prosperity. And I'm so fulfilled. I feel so blessed. I have a great husband. My son is doing great. I take care of him financially 100%. And I'm able to give back to him now. In fact, one of my biggest accomplishments, I always get a little emotional when that. When I started the business,
I'm crying too. I don't even know what it is, and I'm crying too.
Dominique is epileptic, and I had to put him in a group home because I couldn't take care of him 24/7, because he needs 24-hour care.
Yeah.
So I put him in a group home, and I felt horrible, but I had to do that in order to build a business. And I said, one day I'm just going to take him back. And it took me 7 years, and he started to put on weight, and he had high blood pressure. Like, he put on 60 pounds, and the doctors wanted to put him on more meds. And I remember last year I saw him, and I said, this is it. I'm taking my son back. And that was on a Thursday. By the next Tuesday, I was signing a list for his own 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Beverly Hills. And I hired full-time care for him. Oh. So I'm just so grateful to be able to give back to Dominique, because we've been through so much together. And when I tell you, Lise, like, he lost 60 pounds in 3 months because he's eating well. He's eating organic, and he exercises with my husband, and he is thriving. And if I were to leave Earth today, I will leave very happy and peaceful, because I get to give back to Dominique, because Dominique is my big wife. So I'm just so grateful.
Oh. I forgot every other question I was going to ask you, because that just made me cry really hard too. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh. Wow. From a new mama's heart to another mama's heart. That is, I know everyone listening gets that. Wow.
Yeah, totally.
One thing I want to ask you, and I've just learned so much listening to your story. I know everyone listening has as well. You and I were even talking about this in the pre-chat, about, and your journey from like 6 to 7 figures, and our listeners are all different places. Some are wanting to break their first 6 figures, some are wanting to scale to 7 and beyond. But you mentioned it was the more you allow, the more you surrender, the more you stay in your feminine, the more the money came. And I'm really curious to hear about how you did that, even as you're scaling and there's more team and there's more to pay attention to and there's more to manage. Like, how did you do that? And how do you stay in that receptive mode in the midst of everything bigger that you're managing now?
There is an author, Esther Hicks.
Yes.
And she is big on feeling good is the work. I've been listening to her for years. And she's one of the authors that changed my life as well. And living in the receptive mode is what she talks about all the time. And even Gina, who was my coach, she always talked about doing business the feminine way. And it's something that I had to learn. It's already in you, but I had to like bring it forward and truly believe that I deserved it, and truly believe that I deserve it, and truly believe that it didn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of deprogramming, a lot of it. You got to work hard. It's going to be tough, sweat, tears. You got to make your goals, and it's gotta scare you to death, and all of that. And I worked so hard. I burned my adrenals, and
Yeah.
and and then learning to just say, I remember when I got to six figures and I wanted to get to seven figures, and I had a conversation with Gina, and she said, are you ready to allow it? Are you ready to let go of the fear around your son, Dominique? Because I had so much fear around Dominique. Like, I always worried about him. And she said, when you start to do this and you start to allow more, she said, it's gonna get easier and easier. And I just have these practices. I wake up, I read a gratitude. I have my gratitude journal. I meditate, and it's a practice. It's not like one day, boom, it happens. It's a practice. And then, I learned from all these, everyone, I'm like, everybody successful is saying the same thing. It must be true. When you listen to all these, do you need to listen to one other podcast that the person is saying, I have a gratitude practice. I meditate in the morning. I find something that brings me joy. I mean, they're doing the other things too. Like, of course, you got to look at your P&L. You got to come up with your marketing strategy. But they're telling you, oh, I live in gratitude. So I started, COVID was such a blessing for me because I discovered my love for nature. And I would go on these long, long walks, and I'm obsessed with trees. And I would look at the trees. I would just feel so much peace. I would thank God for my life. So I just started to thank God for my life. I just kept doing that. And do you know, like, my life changed drastically. I didn't do anything different. I didn't change my Facebook ads. I didn't do anything different. I just started to feel grateful.
Yes.
By walking. And then there are these, I do this thing called incantation. I learned that from Tony Robbins. So this is where it's not affirmation. This is like embodying the energy that you want to be. So I wanted to be a seven-figure entrepreneur, right? So how does it feel to be a seven-figure entrepreneur? It feels like ease. It feels like fun. It feels like freedom. It feels like choices, 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 lots of choices. Yes. It feels like traveling first class. It feels like tipping well. It feels like the impression of increase. So you know what I started to do? I started to tip people. I tip 25% everywhere I go. I leave everyone with the impression of increase. Wherever I go, I bring joy, abundance, prosperity. I treat my friends well. I tip the valet guy $5 to $10. My nail lady, I tip her $15 to $20. So I just started to do that more and more. And the universe started to show me, like, when you open your hands, it does too.
Yes.
So, and the more there's evidence of it, it just grew my faith. It grew my confidence. So, and now I do it all the time. This is who I am. My name is Marie Claire Cates, and I am a thriver. I'm the most blessed person on the planet. Everywhere I go, people love me. Things are always working out for me. I'm a power manifester. I choose where the light is. And when I say this, I walk around my house and I am just saying it with power and confidence. God's wealth is circulating into my life. His wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. All of my goals, needs, desires are met instantaneously by infinite intelligence. I am one with God, and God is everything. I say this over and over and over and over until I feel it. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I do these incantations. I do them on the street. People think I'm crazy. I don't care, but I'm in the flow because I'm choosing me. So this is what I'm doing. I am just allowing my way into seven figures. That's what I've been doing. My husband will tell you the same thing. Like, I'm just And then really, 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 since we're women, really listen to me when I tell you this. Feeling good is the work. Feeling horrible, doubt, fear, this is not what, I mean, imagine God creating us and just saying like, yeah, you're going to suffer. This is, imagine, well, let's make it realistic. You're a parent, you're a mother, you give birth to your child, and you're like, I'm going to make you suffer. That's what I'm here to do. Suffer. Everything you ask for, I'm not going to give to you. Yeah, you want water. Oh, well, figure it out. You want food? Work for it. Oh, you want shelter and clothing? Why don't you work hard for it? We don't
Mm,
say that. That's how God,
no.
we don't say that. Right? Can you imagine saying that to your child?
Oh my gosh, never. I love that analogy. I've never
That's
heard it said that way
it.
before. I love that
Yes.
analogy.
Imagine God say like, oh, you want food? Too bad.
Oh
You're
my
gonna suffer.
gosh.
You are here. We are here to thrive. We just need to allow it. We just need to believe that's what we're here to do. We're here for happiness. We're here to thrive. We're here for abundance, prosperity, and joy. Start changing your mindset. That's what you're here to do. And every day, when I tell you now, I can tell you, you can't convince me otherwise.
Love
You
it.
cannot convince me otherwise because my life reflects it. The more I do it, the more abundant I become. I'm like, oh my God, to the point, my husband was very extremely, extreme masculine, like he's a grinder 24/7. My husband one day said to me, I want to know what you're doing. I want to do what you're doing. So now my husband went from waking up at 5 a.m., working out, the day. He doesn't go to bed until 12. Oh, he meditates, he journals, he
I
plays
love
golf. Like,
it.
he's learning. I'm like, enjoy life. Oh my God, enjoy the process because
Yes.
it's never done. As soon as I reach, I remember as soon as I reached 15K a month, I was like, okay, can I get to 20K? Can I get to 30? Can I
Yeah,
get?
it never stops.
It never stops, and
It
then
never
you
stops.
forget to enjoy it. Oh my God!
Yeah.
When we tell you it's harder to get to six figures than it is to get to seven figures because you're working so hard
Yeah. Oh my
and
gosh.
you're working so hard. And then the minute when I tell you I work less because I have the team to support me. And this is a decision I made for myself. I said, my business is going to help me with my lifestyle. I want to call my day. I want to call my own schedule. And this
Yes.
is what I do. I have self-care Mondays where I don't answer the phone. It's all about me. I get massages, I get my nails done, and I go on my walks. And I hired a chef. I haven't cooked since last September. And
Amazing.
listen, I struggled with that when I was like, but I don't enjoy cooking. I could spend these 4 hours doing something else. And when I tell you, it's so good to have a chef
Oh,
cook for me, and we don't have to think. My husband even was like, what's the big deal? We don't need it. Now it's like we have a chef who comes every week and make these lavish meals for us. And every week we're just getting something different. It's like, oh my God, there's so much more good on the other side when we say thank you, when we're not trying to just hold on to it and be like, let me save another dollar. Let me save $200 to do this rather than say, my God, how much more ease and joy by spending this 200, 2,000, 10,000, whatever it may be,
yes.
is going to bring into my life, you know? And it's just like for business, right? The person who enters, my marketing manager, like the money I have to pay her every month. But guess what? Oh, I don't want to write these emails.
Oh, I'm so
I I don't want, do you want to sit there and figure out what you're going to say to your audience? I just
yeah.
love the ease of getting on the phone once a month and pre-planning the following month and everything. And then that is off my list. Don't you think you're gonna make more money? When she told me her price, I was like, woo! And make it make sense. Jesus, please. Like, but I was like, okay, Jesus, make this make sense, please. But I went back, I was like, hiring her would definitely free up my time.
Yeah.
I would send more email. And guess what? Oh, I'm making more money.
Yes.
Emails, you know?
Yes. Yes.
43% of my sales come from our emails. Before I hired her, 16%. Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
exactly. Well, and I
So
think that's it's just, it's like thinking as. I love what you shared about Tony
yes,
Robbins and incantation, because you have to learn to think as the woman who
yes,
has what you want. That's it. That's it,
correct.
period. End of story.
That's it.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Marie Claire, this is probably one of my favorite interviews ever. And we're over 100 on the podcast now. And I've had so many amazing guests, but I'm going to go back. Like, you spoke to my soul.
Mm,
You spoke to my soul today. And I know that you did, to everyone who's listening. So let me just ask you. So I want to ask, let's start with where people can connect with you, and then we'll do one final piece of advice. So where can everyone find you? Where can they connect with you? They want to like soak up this freaking amazing energy. Tell them where they can go spend time with you, and how they can buy from you and all of that. Tell them
yes.
that, please. Yeah.
So personally, to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram. My personal hashtag is at Marie Claire _ 90210. I'm pretty active. So if you send me a DM, I will reply. And then my business, if you'd like to buy our amazing serums or vitamin C serum, is Acne Expert Skincare. And we have skincare products for everyone, whether you have dry skin, normal skin, oily, acne, dark spots, you're looking for some anti-aging, beautiful skin. We have everything there for you. So that's acneexpertskincare.com.
So amazing. And
Yes.
what would be, so if you had one opportunity to give one final piece of advice to the woman who's looking to break through her first six figures or beyond in sales, what would it be?
Oh my God, it sounds so simple. Listen to your heart.
Oh,
Listen to your heart. It always knows, always. I do that all the time now. It makes the journey a lot more easy. It's more ease, more fun, more grace. This is where the divine resides. And then once you listen from the heart, there'll be coherence in the brain as well. And you make better decisions that are not in fear, right? And once you just stay still, listen, take action. You don't have to know the whole chicken caboodle. How am I going to do it? Just take the next step. Take the next step. And don't forget to have fun. Please get your nails done. Go on long walks. Go on trips. Enjoy the journey because it is never done. You'll never get it done. You'll never get it done until you go underground. You'll still be like, oh, there's more things that I wanted to do. So you might as well have fun. Like that's what I tell people. Like I just find way to have pleasure in your day, right? So if you're gonna work, if you're working from home, go find a nice boutique hotel and just work in the lobby. It will change your energy, right?
mm,
Um, if you don't feel like cooking tonight, order in, right? Hire a chef just for one meal. That's gonna change. Just for if you can't afford her for the entire month, just afford her. Just come cook for me for one meal. It's gonna change your energy. You're gonna allow more ease and grace into your life. It has certainly worked for me. It really has. So feeling good is the work. Listen to your heart. It's never done. You are where you are, and don't be too hard on yourself. Allow yourself some grace, please. Allow yourself some grace as well. And I love you guys. I love
oh
you.
my gosh, Marie Claire. This was so amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
so everyone go, oh my gosh, like listen to this a million times. I know I'm going to connect with Marie Claire on social media. And oh my gosh, it's like, how do I wrap this beautiful conversation? Just that ease, that remembrance, that feeling is the work, and that actually will unlock and open you up to everything you desire. So thank you, Marie Claire. Thank you, everyone listening. And oh my gosh, go out and have a beautiful week.
Yes.
And I will see you next week for our next episode. Bye.